I'll call the meeting to order. Great. Okay, and action items. So what do we have to work on here? We've got enforcement order for 7 Wesson Street,
We can start with that if you want.
or whichever it was. I need to flip over.
Is the gentleman here for that?
Okay,
Okay.
so why don't we start with that since you're here?
I'm not familiar with your procedure. Do I come up or sit here? Or?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So come on up, I'll explain a little bit. So we're basically yep, have a seat. So I'll ask you to just give your name and address.
Okay.
So we're kind of in the open portion of this, so we're not doing a formal hearing right now. We're just taking information. So if you give just your name and address, and we'll get going.
Sure. Alan Goshgarian, 7 Wesson Street.
So Leah, why don't you fill us in?
Sure. So at 7 Wesson Street, there is an existing beaver dam. I can bring up some photos for you guys.
Okay.
And then Ellen can fill us in on the history that has gone on there. But the long and short of it is that, excuse me, it was, I'm trying to find the best photo for you here. It was breached on either side to, I think, improve water flow. And so now on each side of the dam, there are these horizontal boards. And so the homeowner here has to change the height of the boards when it rains, take some out, put them back. Sometimes, it will cause the water to encroach on neighbors. If we get a heavy rain, he takes a board out to let more through. It's just kind of not an easily managed situation. And when the boards are there, it's blocking more than would be naturally occurring. So I had him come in so we can figure out how to go forward.
It's great. If you want to add anything to Leah's description.
Sure. I can give you a brief history,
Okay.
maybe over the last 3 or 4 years. That'll
Yep.
catch us up to date. About 3 or 4 years ago, probably closer to 4, one of my neighbors at number 11 Wesson Street
Yep.
hired a trapper. Okay, apparently a colony of beavers built a dam on Axtell Brook near his house, and the water was backing up into his yard.
Gotcha.
I wish he spoke to me. I probably could have saved him some money, but it was too late. And then a few months later, after that colony was eliminated, another colony came, built a dam right under the street, inside the culvert. Okay?
Oh, okay.
This time the highway department hired a trapper. When I heard, I went to the highway department. I tried to offer my services. I'm not bragging, but I have a degree in wildlife science, so
Okay.
I've got quite a bit of experience in this, okay? And I just didn't think trapping was a long-term solution. But I was told nicely, it's too late. Trapper's been hired, the permit's been pulled, the trapping's already been done. So I said, okay. Sure enough, a few months later, a third colony built the dam right on my property.
Gotcha.
Maybe it's fate. It was right on
Yep.
my property, okay? This time, I did ask the Conservation Commission. It was very informal. I came into your office and
Yeah.
they said, go ahead, you don't need anything formal from us, just let us know what you're doing.
Yep.
Because of my background, I was tempted to try to set up a system myself, but I ended up calling a man named Mike Callahan. He runs a company. He started and runs a company called Beaver Solutions.
Yep.
I'm glad I called him because, I might have more knowledge than the average person, but he's a beaver specialist.
Right.
And I mean, he's dealt, not only beaver specialist, he's a beaver dam specialist.
Gotcha.
He deals with exactly this kind of stuff, and he's done it in more than 2,000 different locations. So I think he knows more about this than anybody that I've ever
Right.
met. So Mike set up this system where you see one of those black pipes.
Yep.
The whole theory is the beavers don't understand the concept of a pipe. It goes through their dam. As long as the dam's there, the beavers are happy.
Right.
But as long as the pipe's there, water can
The
continue to
conveyance,
flow
yep.
through. After this was set up, however, the following January, my neighbors at number 9 and number 11 Wesson Street complained their yard, they have a nice lawn. Between the two houses, it's a depression, and it was collecting water. So they felt it was the Beaver Dam backing up. the brook backing up into their property. I suspected it could have been something else, but I didn't know at the time.
So are their yards downstream of this or upstream of it?
It's kind of, well, the brook goes back and then it forks. It goes to the right and to the left, and their house is to the right.
Yep.
So yes, the brook goes,
So
yeah,
there's-
up the top.
there's-
See how it goes to the right? Okay. And it's not a complete, it doesn't show the entire brook. But the point is, when I say I suspected it could be something else, it was January. And we just had 3 days, consecutive days of very heavy rain, which is strange because it was January, but that's what happened. So the ground is frozen, and I thought it just wasn't it wasn't absorbing any of the water, so it was collecting at the surface. But I didn't know that for sure. So I asked Mike, put in a second pipe, okay? Which, it's expensive, but I was happy to do it, all right? So now we had 2 pipes. In his opinion, that's plenty for a brook this size.
Okay, yeah.
In my opinion, see, I work with people. I'm a teacher, and I was more concerned about people's personalities and people's emotions. So I don't know if I can explain this quickly, but the culvert is 4 feet wide that goes under the street. It's 48 inches by 48 inches. Theoretically, that's a couple thousand square inches. We'll never get that much flow of water, even in a hurricane, but it theoretically can hold 2,000 square inches. Those pipes can hold about 300 square inches, about 350. So in other words, someone could have a legitimate gripe that the Beaver Dam is still slowing the water down, causing a problem on their property. So what I did was, between Mike and I, we came up with this idea about the 6-foot planks, okay? And now what we have is 6 feet breach inside the dam, plus the 2 pipes going into a 4-foot culvert. In my opinion, even if Mike felt the 2 pipes were enough, now I know I could look someone in the eye and say, we have completely neutralized the dam, because you've got 6 feet of water flowing into a 4-foot culvert. No matter what we do, 4 feet is the maximum that can go through there. Now, I received the notice from the Conservation Commission. I'm happy to cooperate. I'm very happy to cooperate because, well, first of all, I love nature. I love the environment. You people are like my favorite town officials, okay? So, I mean, I'm not joking. I removed the planks right away as soon as I got the notice. That was a couple weeks ago. The beavers did not come immediately to patch it up because it's winter time. But we had a couple 40-degree days recently. They have come and they've patched up the dam. Now we no longer have the planks, okay? That was my most effective tool to try to protect people's property. Now, the beavers have blocked it up again, and all we have is the 2 pipes. Now, to be honest with you, I hope the 2 pipes, I don't want the planks, okay? I hope the 2 pipes are enough, as Mike kind of said it was, because my responsibility, which I took upon myself, most of it was revolved around these planks. When to remove them, when to put them back, and so on. And usually after very heavy rains, that brook swells quite a bit. I pull the planks out. That takes a matter of seconds, literally under 15 seconds, I can pull the planks out. They have hooks on them, with an iron rake. Putting them back takes about 5 to 10 minutes. I get in the water and I put them back. Well, my point is, if I didn't have to deal with the planks, those pipes basically take care of themselves. So I'm all in favor of trying this without the planks, but I'm nervous that it might backfire. I'm nervous that you might get complaints from multiple neighbors about the dam because the pipes might not be enough. That remains to be seen. So as far as any concern you have about me breaking or violating a conservation law, I removed the planks. They're not there anymore, okay? But over the past week or so, the beavers have built a dam, so it is
To the
blocking.
right of the pipes.
Yeah, it's right where you see those planks. The planks aren't there now, but a beaver dam is.
Gotcha.
Okay? Now, if we ever had to like relieve the water, it's a lot more difficult. It would take, it would take a physical effort. And then if it's in the wintertime, it's frozen. I remember the highway department and I sometimes trying to go down there with iron rakes in the winter. It's like hitting concrete. So those dams really, it was kind of a clever idea. It made it easy for us to let the water flow down. So that's where I stand.
So, okay, so one question I have for you, and based upon your Beaver Dam expert,
Yeah.
what is the length of pipes that are needed that won't bother the beaver?
Okay.
Obviously, if you had a short pipe, they'd just fill over it.
Yeah, those pipes are about 40 feet long. Do you see the cage in the background?
So each length of those are 20 feet long.
No, they're about 40 feet.
That's a CPP pipe, and they
Oh,
come
is
in.
it 20 feet? No, I
They
think,
co- they
but I
come
think
in-
they hook
Yes,
them.
you can snap them together, so they come in 20-foot lengths. So
Okay.
so what you do is you have two pipes there.
Okay.
So hydraulically, it's very easy to figure out what the capacity of that culvert is versus the pipes.
Okay.
And then you just look at the watershed. So that's something that's fairly easy to do. And to say the two pipes may impact it, that's why I asked if those homeowners were upstream or downstream. So if they're downstream, there shouldn't be any impact.
No, it should be less water downstream.
Right, so if it's upstream and you have a surcharge and it can't get through there, then you could potentially run into some problems. Because I'm curious, because I know that DEP deals with the beaver dams a lot, but they're dealing with getting rid of them. That's really, people go see them about that. And I'm curious to see if DEP's has any kind of information on this approach. I mean,
I don't know DEP. DPW, Paul Canoyer,
Yeah.
you familiar with Paul? He went to one of the workshops that Mike Callahan offers, Mike being the guy that runs Beaver Solutions. So I know Paul's aware of it.
So like, just to give you hydraulically, so you have, those are 12-inch pipes, right?
15.
15-inch. So if you went from a 15-inch to an 18 or a 15-inch to 24, it's not like if you go from a 12-inch to a 24 pipe, you don't.
Double.
No, it doesn't double.
No, I know it doesn't. That's what I meant. I know the
So it's,
square
yeah,
area.
so what I'm guessing is what I'm, I guess, trying to get to is if there's an option to, look at the size of the pipes so that you can give some assurances to.
Well, all right, first of all, Mike himself, he comes down with a couple other guys and they do everything physically but without machinery, okay? I asked him, instead of those planks, my original idea is why don't we put in a 36-inch pipe, okay? He said they're too heavy. You need equipment to move them. So he
Still
and I
plastic
together came up with this idea of the planks, okay? But the larger pipes, he said, are too difficult to maneuver. And like I said, I know the math. Those pipes are about 350 square inches of surface, that water flowing through them. That culvert is 2,000.
There's a very big difference hydraulically based upon the wetted area. It's whatever, we don't need to get.
Okay, I'm not a professional
Okay.
engineer anyway, but my
So
point is,
we don't need to get into that.
I don't know if the two pipes are going to do the trick. I don't know because we haven't tried it yet, okay? We're going to find out very soon because the wettest time of the year is going to be like April showers, melting snow, ice, and so on. And there are times during the year when you get heavy, heavy rains, and the Weather Channel talks about flood alerts and so on, and that brook really swells. You see the cage in the background? There are times when that gets covered completely with water. And that's when I use the planks to let the water go. But now without the planks, the theory is the brook will swell, and then those pipes will eventually bring everything back to normal. But it might take 3 or 4 days.
And the whole idea is what happens with the surcharge upstream of that and how much that floods and so forth. That's kind of the key thing. So I'm guessing some abutters complained about,
I've gotten a couple calls about somebody's out there maintaining a dam themselves and what's going on, and
okay,
people see beaver activity and give me a call.
yep, no, that's cool. So, I mean, I guess to me is, if we can find a solution without having to, you know, trap the beavers and get rid of they're gonna come back.
Well, see, the trapping is, well, first of all, I'm against it, okay? If you end up doing that, please don't do it right on my property. Go upstream, go downstream, whatever you have to do. I have my reasons, okay? But the thing about those planks, I certainly didn't come here to argue. I didn't. But I don't think I broke any laws, all right? I know you're the experts and I'm not, but maybe hear me out just for a second here. I didn't build a dam on Axtell Brook. The beavers did. And I didn't change the water at all. The beavers did. All I did was, I mean, how can I build, or how can I dam a brook in the exact same location where a dam already exists? All I did was change wood branches for wooden planks.
Yeah, so the basic difference, and it's somewhat semantics, is one is naturally occurring and the other is man-made activity. That's the big difference. I don't think we need to get hung up on that.
Now, again, I don't want to argue, I mean, but
Yeah.
do you see that I'm not really damming? I mean, I already took the planks out. I'm in favor of that. But I don't ever feel that I dammed it, because soon as I removed them, now the beavers came and dammed it. We're right back into that situation. But now I don't have the tool to let everything, see, the pipes might take 3 or 4 days to bring everything back down to normal.
Which means
Those planks would have taken 4 or 5 hours to bring everything.
Which basically demonstrates that you're impacting upstream. If it takes that long to bring the water back down.
Well, the Beaver Dam is impacting.
I understand that, but the people upstream, and I understand you have a different opinion, people upstream just wants to get rid of the Beaver Dam and for it to go back to normal. That's a perspective because they have water in their yard. To me, if we could do something with this type of approach, but we need to make sure that it's sound and as far as not impacting anyone upstream. And
You know, the only reason I ever got involved in the first place, the beavers have never bothered me. Never. I mean, I know my yard sometimes get a little soggy or whatever, but I've never had a problem with it. I only got involved to try to help the neighbors or to try to help the town. So, yeah, I'm in full agreement. The only thing is, we had a system. We had a system with those planks there where you could flush the water downstream as if the Beaver Dam did not even exist. Because you've got 6 feet going into a 4-foot culvert, it neutralized the dam.
So, and I understand that. Again, this is just the way regulations are. It was a naturally occurring event. Wetlands are not static, they always change.
Mm-hmm.
They sometimes change abruptly when certain four-legged creatures get involved, as such
Sure.
as, I mean, beavers play an environmental role in changing, wetlands and so forth. But between the expert that you have, I'm sure DEP would be aware of this.
I'm sorry, who is DEP?
Oh, please ask those questions.
Environmental
Department of
Protection?
Environmental Protection.
Okay.
So DEP is a state organization that basically enforces the wetlands regulations, and we do it on a town-to-town basis. We enforce the state regulations, but DEP is really the oversight, and so it would be a good place to start. As an engineer, I can tell you, those 2 pipes aren't enough. Okay.
That's what I'm nervous about.
But having said that, there may be something else that we could do instead of the planks, because that is an intrusion into the stream. And I know that there's a beaver dam, and I get your point.
Okay.
But what you're doing is you're holding water back, and that's impacting people upstream. And I understand that you're willing to go out and take them off, but the problem is that's a process that relies on you being home, And if you're in Florida for 3 weeks for
Right.
something.
That's why I'm hoping that, I didn't have to have the planks. I'm on your side. I really hope we
So-
didn't have to.
So and why I was asking about the lengths of pipes is that to me is the key, is that, what's your options to put in pipes and stuff. And I think it's like talking to the DPW here, because I have one question, which you may know the answer to as far as beavers go. So you have you basically call them a colony here.
Yeah.
So what is the likelihood that colony would spread to 200 feet down and do another dam? Or
Very good.
Okay,
Very
so,
good.
all right, and I'm just trying to understand because,
If I could explain, when I say I have to manage or monitor those planks, okay? If you might ask, why don't you just lower it and lower it, keep it as low as you possibly can, make everybody happy. The beavers need about 3 feet of water, especially in the winter. They don't hibernate, they swim under the ice to get to their food source, so they need about 3 feet. If I lowered it too much, this is when I had the planks, okay? If I lowered it too much, it could cause the beavers to build upstream, downstream, or whatever, what's called a secondary dam. And I've had to deal with that. I've had to get up every morning and go put my waders on and go looking, okay? But right this minute, I know one of my neighbors, I've never met him, but I know one of him complained and maybe got this thing started. I'm curious what his yard is like, because right this minute, that brook is about as low as it possibly can be. Because when I pulled the planks, the beavers did not immediately come back and block it up.
So the reality is, what's happening on his site, on his land, at this point, doesn't matter. So basically, because we had a complaint and there's activity within a wetlands, we need to respond to it.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. So as far as responding to that, that doesn't mean we just sit here and say, take it all out. We need to be thoughtful in what we do.
Okay.
And to be quite honest, I may know hydraulics, I don't know beaver dams.
Yeah, and Mike knows beaver dams, but he's not an engineer.
So to me, what I would like to do is check with DEP, see
Okay.
what their guidance is on something like this. They certainly have their own beaver experts. And my thing is that if you have a beaver dam here and you're allowing the beavers to stay, are they gonna put dams 200 feet down, are you gonna get a whole?
Well, if I lowered the water too much, then I can almost guarantee they will. They'll try to go protect their territory by building elsewhere.
territorial.
And they have in the past. They're very territorial. This is why trapping doesn't really work, okay? I mean, I'm against it morally, but this is the science behind it. Nobody cares what I think morally. The science is they're very territorial. The only reason you don't get more beavers moving into this location is because there's a colony already there.
And that's kind of the questions I'm trying to get to,
Well-
and that's where we need help.
When the young beavers are 2 years old, they're kicked out of their family. They have to go find their own territory, find a mate, build a dam, and create their own colony when they're 2 years old. If you eliminate a colony from an area, you're creating a vacancy, and now another colony is going to come and move in because they're always looking for new territory. If there's food, if there's water, if there's access, you're bound to get it. You could get lucky with trapping. You could go a year without another colony, or the worst case scenario is another colony can move in a week later. And at some point, people are going to say, there's got to be a better way.
So we actually have public hearings tonight, so we need to kind of wrap this up. So this is good information. So basically, Leah, where are we at now? Because I think I would like to get more information from people who actually know a whole lot more than I do.
You know, if you wanted to talk to Mike Callahan, he knows the situation because he created it, okay?
We'll start with DEP.
That's
because
fine, but I'm just
that's our
saying-
resource.
Mike is very knowledgeable, and he's also a trapper, too. So he's not prejudiced one way or the other. He does both, okay? Me, I'm prejudiced, but he's neutral.
I want to know their experiences, whether a system like this will work or not work. And then that's the first step. And the second thing is making sure something works so that you don't have impacts on other folks, because they
Yeah.
have the right to say.
Can I just say one last thing? I know you're busy. I'm taking too much of your time, but when I had the neighbors up the street complain about the Beaver Dam, I could see their yard. It was so easy because you could see it right from the street. The other neighbors, where is it, on Institute Road, that recently complained, I can't see their yard. In fairness to them, I really have no idea, are we talking like a little bit of soggy or their whole patio's underwater? I don't know. But the neighbors that I do know about, it wasn't the Beaver Dam. It turned out to be heavy rain in the wintertime when the ground was frozen. They had water just a few days ago because it rained out. I'll bet you tomorrow they'll have water.
Can you zoom out just a little bit?
Yeah. More?
I'm just looking for where Institute Road is. That's
Over here.
north.
It's right there. Yeah, this, I may as well just give you this.
So was it neighbor number 5 and then neighbor 11, did you say?
These are the Institute Road. It just, and here's, Axtell Brook, but it shows that it's all wetlands. So we have to be careful. We have to be at least fair in the sense that there are other factors involved. It may be the Beaver Brook,
Okay.
but it's more likely, see, the only complaints I ever hear is in the wintertime, and I know the ground is frozen, so it doesn't absorb water. And plus, it's wetlands in the first place, so. I don't, I'm trying to be fair to my neighbor. I've never met him. I've never seen his yard. I don't know if it's underwater or whether it means he's got a little bit of soggy area. I don't know.
Okay, so, yeah, and so we need to kind of move on, so,
Okay. I'll just wait to hear from you. How's that? The planks are gone. They're
Yep.
gone. The beavers did come back and fill in that 6-foot breach. So but the water level is very low right now
Right.
because the beavers took about 10 days to come back. It's wintertime. They're not active. But pretty soon, in a month, it's going to be the wettest time of the year. And I feel bad, Sandra, but I feel like the pipes aren't enough either. So.
yeah, and we'll have to, yeah, that's kind of
But
to
I
me.
don't know yet.
Right.
You know?
And again, I'm just looking to get a little bit smarter about and get some advice on
Sure.
beaver dams, because do you have any experience in beaver dams?
Limited.
If it means anything at all, this guy that I'm talking about is world famous, okay? We're so lucky he's here in Massachusetts. I looked out my window one day and there were people out there, so I went out. Mike was with people from Scotland, and he was showing them the
Yeah.
system that he set up, because they heard about it on the internet, and they flew all the way here so they could see the things in action.
Wow.
I told you I'm kind of a professional, although I'm retired now. In my lifetime, I dealt with 3 different beaver dams.
Like,
Mike
yeah,
is-
I understand. Let's
Mike dealt
kind
with
of,
2,000 of them. So I'm
Wow.
just saying, if you're looking for a source of information, and he does both that and trapping, so he's neutral, he's
Right.
fair. Okay, thanks for your time.
Yep.
Thank you.
so yeah, just hang out 1 minute. So what else do we need to do? We just need to vote on the enforcement order?
So because I sent it under my signature, you guys just need to ratify it, and
Okay.
then you guys will sign it at the end too.
Okay. And that, all that means it's the kind of process that we need to do in,
Yeah,
yeah.
explain that to me.
Okay,
Do you
great.
need me to sign anything?
Nope. So you all set, and we'll take care of this later on tonight,
you.
so, all right. No, thank you for your time.
Okay.
Thank you for your efforts. I
You know, if
mean,
you ever want to come down there,
I live down the street.
okay, I'm just saying, you're all welcome to come anytime you want.
That's why I was looking, I was like, okay. I live
Okey-doke.
right down the street.
Thank you again.
Yep. Okay, so we're a little bit behind, so let's get going on,
Sorry, guys.
so, first one, so, okay. So we start pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent for application for Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw permit and application for Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw permit for construction of a mixed-use development at 100 Westboro Road, Grafton. So,
I don't know if this will help at all. Over here, just in case. First off, I'm Amanda Cavalieri. I'm with
Yeah.
Gary and Howland. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and owner, DNF Alfonso Builders.
Okay. Just before you start, because we're in the same neighborhood, I live probably a half a mile from this location.
Okay.
Okay, I do not live within any notification, so I'm just making it known, disclosing that. It's down the street from me, but it is close to my house.
Sure.
So this evening, here in front of you to discuss the proposed mixed-use development project at Alfonso Village. It's about just under 16 acres of undeveloped land, and it's abutting a previously approved project, Village at Institute Road, which is to the south of the project, which is Audrina and Brook Street. Those were approved a couple years ago, and this parcel was listed as parcel D, and it was zoned office and light industrial. Since then, in May of 2019, it was rezoned specifically for this type of project, for a mixed use, and rezoned to Village and Mixed Use Transient Village Neighborhood Center. The proposed project is 5 three-story buildings. 3 will be for residential, and 2 will be mixed use, which will be 2 floors of residential, and the bottom floor is about 2,000 square feet will be retail/commercial use, but the uses haven't been determined yet. On the western portion of the property, you can see the areas of the wetlands. We did receive a couple administrative comments from Samantha that we're in the process of addressing, one being updating the flagging on the project, but for the most part, our wetland scientist, who actually is here this evening, went out there I believe yesterday or today, just to look at the flags, so we have to update those on the plan set. So we're not looking for any final decision this evening, as well as we're still going through planning board process as well. The areas that are proposed to be disturbed are on the southwestern side of that property. There's a couple wetland areas, and there's some work that will be in the buffer zone. However, the detention basin, the proposed detention basin, is something that was previously approved as part of the subdivision project. And as part of this project, we planned on using the same detention pond, and we've increased it. We've done a revised stormwater report, and the total size increased about 11% from what it was initially.
So that pond increased 11% and you added that amount of imperviousness? We'd like to see those.
Yep. So we did provide the stormwater report as well. So now I believe the basin got deeper, and I don't have all the stormwater stuff in front of me this
So-
evening.
Let me ask a question
Sure.
about how the calculations were prepared. Did you analyze this as one entire site?
It's one entire site,
Okay.
yes. So as far as expanding the drainage within the buffer zone, an additional 7,000 square feet will be disturbed within the 50 to 100-foot buffer on the southwestern portion of the site, where there's going to be a retaining wall to protect that area of the site. And then there's no construction activities proposed within the 25-foot no disturb. So we tried to keep the project somewhat connected to the previously approved subdivision. And that was the original intent of the plan. Back in the day, I wasn't part of the initial permitting process for the subdivision, but I know the applicant has been working closely with the planning department as well to try to get this project underway, and construction would take place at the same time or similar times as the subdivision as for this. We did include a phasing plan. I don't know if you received that, that it wasn't in the initial submittal. We sent that over, so we sent that over on Friday. The proposed phasing plan is something that we do want to talk to the commission about and find out the best route to go as far as working with both projects somewhat simultaneously. There's a lot of fill on the subdivision side of the project that is going to be needed on the mixed-use side. So what we would like to propose is possibly keeping similar phases to what was on the subdivision and looking at this project as more of a stockpiling and storing site, so less materials shipped off. And that area would be cleared, grubbed, and stabilized during construction of the subdivision. And then, once the phasing plan for the subdivision was in progress, that they would, and the areas that had to be addressed first with the subdivision phase, they would come back and work on the mixed-use retail residential up front, which we've labeled as buildings 4 and 5, clear and grub a little bit further, set up the erosion control, and then on the buildings 1, 2, and 3, they would come in, that would be the last phase of that project. So trying to figure out the best way to work with both projects. I don't know if we need a new permit to combine the two, or what's the best way to work with the commission on this?
So, as far as that, how you permit it is really up to the applicant.
Okay.
And we're gonna respond to whatever you submit to us. So, my only caution is it the same owner, or do you have two?
Same owner.
You don't have two different LLCs?
Nope.
So same owner.
Yes.
But it was subdivided.
Yes.
Okay, so that to me is totally up to the applicant on how they want to do the approach to it. Some of the interesting things is going to be just the shared detention basin, because even though it's the same owner, it will ultimately not be the same owner. So, at some point, the subdivision is going to be sold, the individual houses are going to be sold and so forth. So there's some kind of logistical issues with that. I think that before we even get to any of those, so it's really getting our peer reviewers involved and looking at the wetlands, but also looking at stormwater and just water quality and so forth. It just surprises me that that basin didn't get a lot bigger based on the amount of impervious being added.
So I have one thought about your idea for phasing. If it would be possible to make one master phasing plan so that we could see across both projects what
Okay.
that might look like, and what those steps are broken out to be. We have requirements on phasing plans that we have no more than, I believe it's capped at 5 acres open at once. So that is likely a condition in the order you already have, and then would also be one in here, so we'd want to make sure it would satisfy both.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really about how you want to do your, I don't know how planning board is looking at, combined combined stormwater system. I know that there's a new pump station that is either almost in or going in or whatever.
Yes.
I don't know the status of that. My guess is that all of this sanitary is going there. That's outside of our
Yes.
jurisdiction, and so, so there's some overlap there. That'll end up being a municipal system anyways. So I know there's, there was, when we had the subdivision, there was some work on Institute Road happening.
Yes.
We had a lot of back and forth about the total lack of drainage on Institute Road, and there was certain conditions and certain changes. So I don't see anything being done on Institute Road. So my curiosity is, what improvements are gonna be needed for development of this size, and what kind of improvements are happening to Institute Road. Now, those improvements for us is really about stormwater.
Okay.
There's wetlands on the other side of Institute, and there's a vernal pool, which is up further, which is up gradient, so that shouldn't be an issue for this particular, development, but it's really, there's a large wetlands across the street, and there's very poor drainage on Institute, so.
And I know the intent of the phasing plan and the construction is that because there's so much material, and I know they're lowering Institute Road as part of the subdivision, that some of the work on the subdivision side of the project does need to be completed before they can even go forward towards the mixed-use portion, and which is why we're looking to clear and grub and use really that area as stockpiling and storage and processing of material to minimize the on and off and shipping material from different sites. As far as the detention pond and the utility easement for both subdivision and mixed-use project, that's something that is simultaneous. The easement and the detention pond is part of the subdivision, the very first phase of that has to be constructed. So that was also, kind of working simultaneously with that. So we could do a master phasing plan for the next meeting. That might give an overall, and I think the way the applicant is proposing is to have 2 separate permits
Okay.
for each site, but to give the commission an overall phasing that would be, we do have to go for an extension for the other order as well as with planning.
Right, and you also, for the other order, you're gonna have to come back in front of us
Yes.
because you're totally altering the detention basin.
Yes,
And we'll have to take a vote on what that process is whether it's an amendment, well, there's the 3 layers of administrative,
Right.
or maybe, and the next one is to have a public meeting under the, of the revision to the notice, the orders of condition, and of course, the last one's a full new notice of intent.
right.
And we'll probably, get going on this one in the peer review and get an understanding of just what the changes are too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think if we want to go through this permitting phase, work with the commission on getting this to where everybody's satisfied with the type of project and the areas of disturbance, the stormwater requirements, and then amending or however we want to proceed with the subdivision side of things to correct that one. What's the easiest way to get both projects somewhat combined, but also keeping them separate and as is for them to follow? Somewhat of a complicated project. It was very difficult to try to figure out the best way to permit it.
So just, and again, it's, we're just seeing this and so forth.
Yep.
And I know for the subdivision, there's a whole series of soil testing and so forth. Has soil testing been done on this site?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else have questions? I mean, we're just, kind of getting into it and so forth, and this is being done under a special permit from the planning board.
Correct.
Okay. Just checking it's not like a 40B or anything, that's
Nope.
all. Yep.
Nope. Site plan and special permit with planning. We go in front of them on Monday.
Okay. Okay. Does anyone else from the commission have questions?
I do not have.
Okay. Yeah, and you're aware of the fact that delineation is outdated, right?
Yes.
So you guys, that's, yeah.
We just had the flags, reevaluated.
Yep.
And we may have to go back out. I believe we have to go back out, relocate them, and we'll update them on the next,
Right. And
next
then it's,
submission
I mean,
set.
you can be part of this notice of intent. I'm guessing they probably haven't changed a whole lot, and then we would just have to review it as part of the notice of intent.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. And then you're looking to continue, that's pretty, well, I guess the first question, that's pretty much your presentation for now?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, I'd just like to open it up to the public, and if anyone has any questions or comments. Okay. So what we'll do is I'm sure this is already being reviewed through the planning board. We try not to overlap, so we use the same peer reviewers. Obviously, the wetlands will be reviewed by a different
Okay.
peer reviewer, but we use the same reviewer for stormwater that planning board does. So they just do kind of an add-on, his ERD.
We have not started that process just
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, but typically, because we use the same peer reviewer.
Go
it's-
simultaneously.
It goes, yeah, it's just a little different, look at for the wetlands and stuff. It's not, but it's basically,
Yeah, we tried to submit simultaneously so we could get, you know,
Yeah.
the continuous changes and then not creating so many different plan sets that somebody has a
No,
different one,
that's-
so.
yeah, that's fine, and yeah, we don't like to, you know, we like to use the same reviewers and stuff, just to, you know, it's a lot easier for everyone and be consistent.
As far as resubmittal process, what is the commission's requirements for revised plan sets for when the meetings are continued?
Okay, good question.
We ask for material on continued hearings a week ahead of the next meeting you're aiming for.
And sometimes it really comes down to just the logistics of having it reviewed by our peer reviewer.
Okay.
And our peer review is usually really quick.
Okay.
They're pretty responsive. I mean, in general. There's always, you know, exceptions to that. Okay.
So when I put down continue to 3/10, you guys can discuss if that's a good date
Yeah.
to aim for or not. I just put that down
Yeah.
because that's our next one.
So, yeah, so that's up to you. I mean, so what we'll do is we'll reach out to the peer reviewers.
Okay.
We'll get their schedule and stuff. It's totally up to you to, if you want to be, that's our next hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Tuesday and election and stuff, we're not meeting on the first Tuesday. We're meeting on the second Tuesday and third Tuesday.
Okay. That should give us enough time to resurvey those flags, update
Okay.
those, and do the phasing plan.
Yeah, and if you don't get that information in, obviously you can continue it. That's totally up to the applicant, so.
Okay.
So you're looking to go to March 10th?
Yes.
Okay, and you're making the formal request, because that
Please.
comes from you. So, is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none from the public, do I have a motion?
I motion to continue the hearing for 100 Westboro Road to the March 10th meeting.
I second it.
All those in favor? Okay, we'll see you on the 10th.
Thank you.
And obviously, be in contact with Leah, and we'll let you know about the peer reviewer and everything else.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Okay, so. All right. So next up is 124.
Yep.
Okay. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, February 18th, to act upon abbreviated notice of resource area delineation and request for determination of applicability for the delineation of resource at the 124 rear North Street and 73 rear Old Westboro Road, Grafton, Mass.
All right, good evening, Scott Goddard.
How you doing,
So,
Scott?
since the last hearing on this, I guess there's maybe just two items to revisit. One is the peer review with Art Allen and myself in the field did take place. Art had a number of suggested modifications that were all agreed to in the field. We're in the process of working with the surveyors and all to get the plans updated and such. So that's still gonna take a little bit more time to get that. I don't have those plans ready for you, but at least the field piece of that was completed, and the weather's been pretty favorable to do field work and all. So that's underway. So we are gonna need a continuation. The second part of that is, thank you for issuing a letter for the planning board. We are before the planning board, as you know.
Yep.
And they had asked for some input from the Conservation Commission. The planning board meeting, I did send Leah some pieces of the recording of the meeting. So they were asking if the letter could be maybe a little bit more specific, a little bit more explicit. They felt it was, I don't want to speak for them, but soft in terms of its language. And so I was just hoping the commission could just revisit the language in the letter and see if there's ways that it could be reworded to be more satisfy what the planning board is looking for. I think again, I don't want to speak for them what they're looking for, but they wanted, let's see. There was
Okay.
the potential pathway was the, I think that word potential, and I don't know.
I'm not gonna change that, yeah.
I thought the letter seemed appropriate, but I'm not the planning board, so.
So, I mean, the one thing is that once the peer review is complete in the location of the wetlands updated, we can look at it again.
For sure, no question.
I can tell you, I'm not gonna, it's a permitting process. There is no guarantees.
I understand that.
Yep.
I do, Sandra, thank you. So, I'm expressing to the commission what I'm dealing with
Yep.
another board. They're asking for something maybe a little bit more.
And we
than-
can
than-
have a
than-
conversation between the departments to get a little bit more information.
So I have.
Okay.
And staff's understanding is that planning is hoping that we continue and finish our process, and then that will
Oh, okay.
guide their process going forward.
Okay.
Once we are all set, I can send an updated memo, but there's nothing more we can
Right.
say right now.
Right, yeah, so,
Is that what the process you're referring to with the ANRAD, or the process
ANRAD.
involving all the way through the notice of intent phase
I
of
believe,
something?
so because your delineation isn't firmed up yet, I believe
Correct.
that's what would affect your potential lot count with them, correct?
Fair enough. So let's start with that then. At least that's a starting point, right? We can get that far and see if that satisfies them.
right.
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable.
That's the understanding we all seem to have in the office about
Okay.
what's going on.
I can understand the second part of saying that we don't have a finalized.
Sure.
And I don't have a problem saying that once, the peer review's done, you've updated it and you submit it to say that,
Sure.
our peer review is in agreement with the, with the wetlands delineation and
Okay.
that would.
No,
you know,
that all seems fine and fair.
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't even having to bring this request to you, but it's just,
Okay.
it's the situation we're in. So I'll request a continuation out to the, was it March 10th? Is that
Yep.
what the date is? To March 10th. Hopefully I'll have the updated site plan for you for that meeting.
Okay,
All right?
great,
Thank you.
so.
I motion.
Oh, wait, just before we do that, is there anyone in the public that has any questions or comments on this? Great.
I motion to continue the hearing for 124 rear North Street and 73 rear Old Westboro Road to the meeting on March 10th.
I second it.
All those in favor? All right, great. Okay, so we have,
The last one has just requested a continuance,
okay,
Stowe
so,
Road.
so let me just read this in real quick. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing to act upon a notice of intent application for Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw permit for the construction of a culvert replacement on Stowe Road over Misco Brook. The applicant has requested a continuance to March 10th. Is that what it says
Yep.
here? March
Yes.
10th? Do I have a motion?
I motion to continue the hearing for Stowe Road over Misco Brook to the hearing on March 10th.
I second it.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay. All right, so what else do we have as far as the action items? We have,
Palmetto?
yeah, whoops, so we,
I was just checking what he was here for. If you want to skip to the back of the agent report, we have
Yep.
a request for a 3-year extension for Palmetto.
oh, sure. If you're here, you get top billing.
Oh, excellent, thank you. Good evening, Patrick McCarty Engineering, for the record. Here tonight on behalf of the applicant Bull Meadow LLC. Our current order of conditions and stormwater permit will expire on April 10th, my daughter's 16th birthday, a day that I'm dreading because she'll be getting her learner's permit. But
Makes your life exciting.
yes, yeah, so at least I won't have to be the dad taxi anymore. But so we're here, there's a purchase and sales agreement in place for the project. We actually have the pre-construction meeting scheduled for Thursday of this week.
Okay.
The purchaser's very anxious to get in and get going. And as a condition of his offer, he asked that we extend the permits. So we're here to respectfully request a 3-year extension.
All right, any questions on this? Fairly straightforward. First extension. Questions? Anyone in this is an action item, I don't have to ask the public.
Nope.
Okay, so do I see a motion to issue a 3-year extension?
I motion to issue a 3-year extension for the Palmetto Subdivision project.
I second it.
All those in favor? Is that record time?
That is fantastic. Thank you very much. And I have a UXO sticker on my hard hat from Devon's.
From Devon's.
Yeah, it's crazy what they show you in the training.
Yeah.
The table twice the size of this, covered in stuff that
And
they
stuff, yeah.
dug
It's-
up out there.
It's crazy when you're there when they're exploding the stuff they found during the day and you're hearing it.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great
Okay,
night.
you too. All right, so let's move on to, meeting minutes? So this is meeting minutes from, wow, January 21st. Time flies when you're having fun. Does anyone have any comments, recommendations, or proposed changes? As always, thank you for having these done in a timely manner.
You can thank Samantha now.
Okay. It's great pride. When I first got on the commission, it was, I think we were like, I don't know how many years behind. I mean, that's how bad it was. So this is outstanding, that keeping it up on time. That's great.
Surely you got the ball rolling.
Yeah. Well, it took a while to sort it out, so. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve the meeting minutes from the January 21st meeting.
I second that motion.
All those in favor? Okay, what else we got here? That one's already done.
So we need a new rep for the Lake Quinsigamon Commission. It was John a while ago, then it was Scott,
Yeah,
and we haven't put someone on it since.
okay,
So we need a rep from Grafton.
okay. Can we wait till we have a full?
We sure can.
How
Okay.
often do they meet?
I think
Periodically.
monthly. I'll check on that.
I'm already spreadsheeting monthly on a Tuesday. My
Yeah.
4th Tuesday of the month is free right now. Other than that, I'm
Scott was sometimes the only person showing up for the meetings.
for the meetings.
Yeah,
Are there snacks there? I mean, these are all important things
I
to
have
know.
no idea.
I'll get a little more detail for you guys.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, request for certificate of compliance?
Yep, 104 Creeper Hill Road, if you guys remember, it was a contractor's yard.
Oh, okay.
Pull it up really quick. So they are now done with this project.
Yeah, I remember, I went out to the site.
A meeting or two ago, we had extended it just because it was about to expire. But they're all done out there. They had a few items that I asked them to address on their as-built plan and their no disturb signage going up, just small things like that. They have now dotted all those i's and crossed those t's, so I'm recommending that you issue it.
Okay, great. Do I have a motion?
I motion to issue the certificate of compliance for the work completed at 104 Creeper Hill Road.
I second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Great. That concludes that?
Yep.
His name again? John. So do you have any questions? We're now in a actually public hearing process, but do you have any other questions? I mean, this is, you said, the first time you've been to Concom. It's pretty standard regulatory meeting. Follow, standard process of public hearings and Robert's rules, and try to be, consistent in how we do things. Everything is televised. Anything else?
I didn't have any questions.
Okay.
It's nice to see the meeting and how the interaction and everything. I'm
Yeah.
definitely very interested in it. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's great. I mean, and then you work on, so you work for basically a construction manager company, and you're actively involved on the construction side. What other things can you tell us about you? I mean, as far as.
Do you want me to come up there and sit?
Sure, why don't you come on up? I'm not trying to do like this interview or anything. I'm just really
Fine. No, as Alicia and I were talking about earlier, I have a 4-year-old. My wife and I live in Grafton
Yeah.
with my son, so I'm definitely interested in the conservation side, getting outside, getting to, hike and explore and everything. So we take my son to the different areas around Grafton, try and go to the parks,
Yeah.
get into the woods.
Do you know all the public properties we have in Grafton at the conservation?
If
I
only
know-
there were maps available for everyone of the public area, and we had maybe a table at night out to educate people about that.
So,
I'm interested in that side of it very much.
you'll find that a lot of us kind of got involved either because of work or because of the open space. I
Sure.
mean, I have not even hiked all of what the public lands are here in Grafton. We have a lot, I would say. I mean, compared to some towns, we have it's great.
Fortunate.
It's a great resource and it's diverse and stuff, so it's great.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to have a park in our neighborhood, but there's kind of some trails that connect
Yeah.
the airport road area to that park, so
Yeah.
we can literally do a loop and let my 4-year-old explore,
There you
so.
go. That gives you a little hint of all the open space that
Yep.
is under Concom and
Under Concom.
so, again, like we are all, most of the commission members have an interest in the open space and open land preservation and things like that. We talk a lot about what can we do more to get more Grafton citizens aware of what we have as far as an amenity for the town, which is pretty cool. And we'd love to have someone who shares our general, fondness of it, and we'd love to do more with it, because I think it's a resource that's underappreciated and underused.
Yeah.
So,
No, in my conversations with Alicia, as well as just being around town, I definitely have an interest in that. I have that, again, I might be able to, not on beaver dams, but other things, some type of expertise or advice or help
Yeah.
or something, but I'm more interested in helping the process and definitely expanding this type of knowledge base for the town, and
yeah, and this is part of what we do.
yeah,
It's kind of the fun part. Most of the stuff that we end up doing is more of the procedural part.
sure.
And our first kind of responsibility, which is to enforce the Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton, wetland bylaw.
Yeah.
And the stormwater bylaw. But, you have a background in construction, and so there's a lot of things that you'll be able to lend to our conversations, because, we deal with stuff from design through construction to completion, so that they can, finish off their certificate of compliance and stuff.
Yeah.
As far as, not having gone to Conservation Commission hearings, I don't think that's not a big deal. It's, you can learn.
Yeah.
It's just a process. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot of things that you don't intend to, but
Sure.
it's, it's like anything else, which is the positive kind of part of, serving on a town committee. It's a little bit of, civic pride and giving back a little bit. And
Sure.
I don't know if you have any questions for us. We meet twice a month. Everything is paperless. We have iPads, so when you're here, you can do that. Everything you can see is pretty easy. It gets all uploaded to the Dropbox, and it's
Yeah.
that part is really good.
I have an iPad that I
Yeah.
use for notes and everything,
Yep.
and although I'm an estimator and some of my colleagues live in seasoned paper, I don't print plans, I
Yep.
try to,
I'm a big Bluebeam fan. I try, yeah. I
yeah.
try to go as much paperless as I can.
Yeah.
Does other commissioners have any other questions or comments or experiences of being on the commission, or?
Well, I'm probably the oldest one here, but my passion is educating the public to the open space that we so joyously have offered and can walk on and air your head out, and enjoy that. Thankfully, you're more professional in the aspect of the formalities of coming before the commission, but I appreciate people that have the concerns, that have the compassions for not disturbing areas and being appreciative of the wetlands, and just trying to keep Grafton as nice as it can be without, we don't, you know, everybody has the right and the opportunity and perhaps the joy of owning property, but you can't stop progress, but you know, maybe we can just continue to educate people not to encroach.
Absolutely.
And we definitely stay in our lane. We have a set of regulations we enforce. So we're not gonna be talking about a lot of other things that the planning board talks about.
Yeah.
We do try to keep it within our purview and stuff. You got it.
Sure.
So it's just, you know, we're not here to stop anything. We're not here to promote anything. We're here to make sure what is done follows the law, follow the regulations. That's really pretty much it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay,
No,
great.
I'm definitely interested in,
Yep,
I
so
consider-
you know the process, it's just a letter to the Board of Selectmen. It'll be pretty quick. And, you know, after that, you have to get sworn in.
do I have to do anything else, or, because I went online and I submitted a generic,
Yep.
I'm sorry, the vacancy board or something. I submitted a little bit of information. I don't know if you need
I
resume or.
think that's it.
That's probably it.
Sure.
We'll check on that.
Yep.
No other board can steal you.
Yeah, I've got a friend in town that I used to work with at Consigli, Andy DeShanes, that I'm sure you might have ran into in other projects. He does a lot of clerk of the works type stuff, and
Yeah.
he encouraged me to approach this committee. And then he's talked to other people about what I could do in town. I'm like, want to do something, but
Right.
I don't want to be on 9 committees, you know?
No, and that's, you know, yeah, and through work, I'm on other stuff, like I'm on MACC board, and that's Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissioners. On the 29th is their annual educational conference in Worcester. It's in Worcester every year. Not suggesting anything, but in the future, you might, if you get onto the commission, you automatically become a member, and there's a ton of training available, to, you know, if you wanna, from everything, you know, how to write orders to stormwater, to delineation in soils and erosion control and all that kind of stuff. There's
Sure.
a lot of opportunities there to learn more and stuff, but.
Yeah, Alicia's mentioned some of the training, but also the other, Mark Richardson, who's on Uxbridge's Conscom, mentioned that exact meeting and said, you know, if you get involved soon enough, you might be able to get into it. If not, the next time it comes around.
February 29th, I'm moderating 2 sessions. So
Good
it's,
to know.
yeah, no, you know, you can get some really good, they have really high-quality folks there and stuff, so if you're interested in, even if you're just interested in like open space and how to manage it, they'll have sessions on that. I mean, they have a wide variety, from nuts and bolts to the regulations to more of a environmental kind of slant.
Sure.
So there's a lot to kind of look at, and again, on the commission, you're a member. And do we pay for people to attend?
Yep.
And we pay for people to attend.
That's great.
I always pay because I'm a board member, and that's part of my donation. I also pay for my membership too. That's whatever. So, but anyway, so so thank you for coming. If you
Yeah.
have any questions, reach out, and
Yep.
and maybe the next time we see you, you get to have a little nameplate.
I'd love that.
Don't do a ceremony. There's no initiation.
Blood oath or something.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that. I like to be a little bit more relaxed and stuff, so.
Sure.
It's much less intimidating now than when I started, if it makes you feel better.
Why is it because,
Because it was like you and Scott and I don't even remember who else. I sat over here in the corner
Yeah, it's-
alone, and everyone knew what they were doing, and it was.
yeah, it's a learning process, but
Yes.
yeah.
Now I'm like an old pro. I make motions. It's great.
Yep, there you go. And again, it's a learning process, and as I tell many applicants, we are a volunteer board, okay? Get used to it. We're here because we're trying to do something
Yeah.
for the town.
You want to be here, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and you know what, I'm not gonna take a lot of opinions from people that, you know, think we're here for some other reason than why we are here.
Right.
So, try to keep it,
Chilled.
so,
Yeah.
that's great.
Awesome.
How long have you lived in Grafton?
5, almost 6 years.
Okay, great.
Yeah, my wife and I bought our first home it's on Hingham Road, but in that airport neighborhood, so.
Yep.
it's nice to have that park in the neighborhood, like I said, and then just it's a great spot. My wife works in Hopkinton, I work in Milford.
Yep.
So it's,
Yeah.
we're close to home. My son loves Grafton, North Grafton Elementary, goes to the same daycare as
Cool.
Alicia's son, so.
Yep, and I'm pretty close to there anyways, but that's great, all kind of North Grafton.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Okay, so do I have a motion to close the hearing?
I motion to close the hearing.
I second it.
All in favor?